everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the Final Fantasy XIV Ultimate Cookbook. Last week we made the Papanazi, which were basically jelly-covered donuts. Those look to be really good. This week we're making the drink out of this cookbook, and the final recipe for the month, lemonade. First, let's tell the story. My Moogle friends in the 12's Wood told me about a super sweet lemon drink made with the honey from Full Flower Comb in the East Shroud, but they are all too nervous to ask for a glass, Kupo. I asked why they would ask for a glass when they have two perfectly good hands for taking, but they didn't understand, and now I don't understand them. Family can be so weird sometimes, Kupo, but this drink is delicious. Well, we're going to find out all about that. The ingredients, as usual, are waiting for us over at the table, so let's head in that general direction now. As you can probably guess by the pseudo split, we've got a two-part recipe going here. So for the simple honey syrup, we're going to need half a cup each of sugar and honey, along with a cup of water. Then to put the lemonade together, we're going to need the simple honey syrup, plus a cup of fresh lemon juice. I'm using lemon juice I bought at the grocery store, and another 3 cups of water. So with that all set up, let's move into the kitchen and start putting this recipe together. We're going to start off with a medium saucepan. We're in a medium saucepan. We're going to start off with our half a cup of sugar. Let's see if I can get enough out of here. I should be able to out of this canister. Maybe with a little extra. That's about half a cup. That can go back up, although I'll be pouring some more sugar in a second. Half a cup of honey. And I've got a spoon to deal with some of the honey residue. I'm expecting this to be a very sweet drink. Although I think we used about the same proportion of ingredients in the honey muffin, at least of the honey and the sugar. Let me grab a paper towel to deal with some of the honey that looks to be dripping. And a cup of water. Okay. Easy does it. Paper towel, wipe a little bit of that off. And now we're going to set this saucepan over medium heat. So I'm going to set it at about a 5. Now, as I was about to say before I finished pulling the rest of the ingredients, I think I used a similar proportion of ingredients in the honey muffins that I made a couple of weeks ago. Let me see if I can find that recipe in here. It's probably going to be an appetizer. It's either going to be an appetizer or a breakfast. Let's look in. Okay, so it's not in the breakfast section. It's not an appetizer. Where did it end up? Oh, it's a bread. Duh. Third of a cup brown sugar, tablespoon of honey. So actually we used a bit less on the ingredients in the honey muffin. We used a bit less of the sweet ingredients in the honey muffin. That ended up being that ended up being not as sweet, so I'm expecting this to be even sweeter. But what we want to do here because we actually want to bring this to a simmer. And once the sugar's all dissolved, we're going to take it off the heat to let it cool. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pour some more sugar here while I'm thinking about it. Easy does it. There we go. Just killing off a couple birds here while we're filming and waiting for the actual thing to start happening. That's part of what I like to do on Mystical Munchies, is I like to make sure you guys see what's happening as it's happening in the kitchen. Especially when something needs to happen like that. I like being able to let you guys see, okay, when this happens, now do this. So as I mentioned, we want to bring this up to a simmer where bubbles are just starting to form, but it's not boiling yet. And specifically it says to a simmer, not to a boil. Doing a little bit of cleanup here. They say stir occasionally, but I'm probably stirring way more than occasionally. Let me just check the... I can't really see what's going on in there. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, that's definitely heating up. But I can't really see what's going on in there because of the... I can't really see what's going on because of the white cloud in there. I can't see if the sugar's all been dissolved or not. It might be that the sugar's already dissolved in there because I'm not feeling much when I move the whisk around down on the bottom to try to scrape any of the extra sugar out. And I can't really move the liquid around to check without risking spilling it everywhere. We do have bubbles starting to form in there, though. My guess, though, is that the sugar probably is dissolved at this point. Like I said, it definitely feels like the sugar's all dissolved in there, so I think once it gets up to about that simmer point, then I'm probably going to take it off the heat so it can start to cool. I don't think it says in here how long to let it cool for, because of course it doesn't. My guess is if I let it cool for an hour or two once I pull it off the heat, that'll probably be plenty. I'm just going to check something else here. Oh yeah, that'll be very helpful. Just getting things ready for a later step with one of the containers that I've got for this. So yes, I do want to address a comment that I got in my last Papanazi video, or some of these videos can be a little bit on the long side. That is an intentional decision on my part, where I'd rather let you guys, it's partly to let you guys see everything as it's happening in real time. It's also partly to make it less likely that I'm going to screw these recipes up and need to have another redo month on Mystical Munchies. It'll occasionally happen where even when I do everything right, I'll still screw something. Where I do almost everything right, I'll still screw something up and want to redo it. But by doing everything in real time, yes, it makes the videos a little bit longer, but like I said, it's less likely that I'm going to screw anything up. I've got to be careful with this recipe because I feel like I'm getting close to it boiling and I don't want it to boil. Just keeping an eye on it. It's definitely moving like it's starting to boil, so I'm probably going to be killing it. Oh yeah, it's definitely rolling like it's starting to boil. So I think now we're probably at a point where I'm going to pull this off the heat to let it cool. So I'm going to kill that. We'll bring it over to the counter. I think the sugar long dissolved anyway, so we're going to pull that off the heat. I'll give that probably about an hour, I would say, to cool off. If I can find the right app, here we go. So we'll give that about an hour to cool, and then we'll come back for the next step. Next we've got a pitcher and shot, because now it's time to start making the actual lemonade. So we're going to start off by pouring the honey syrup and the lemon juice together. So I've got the honey syrup right here that's been cooling. I'm going to reach over to the other side. Easy does, and I've got a funnel in here to make the pour a little easier. Nice and easy. And we want a cup of the lemon juice. I'm actually going to go grab my big measuring cup because I'm going to be adding the water in a second here as well. I'll reach behind the camera. I've got my lemon juice right here. There we go. That needs to come out. That little spigot, this little spigot looking thing's always driven me nuts. So I'm just going to lift that right out. Nice and easy. And we'll pour a cup of this out. Easy does it. And I should probably splash a little bit more in there. Because the transfer The transfer from my left hand to my right wasn't as clean as I would have liked, so I'm going to splash a bit more in. Okay. I'll get the funnel out of the way for a second so I can stir this together. The wooden spoon, it turns out, will fit. I checked it before I moved into this next step. We can probably just leave that off. We can probably just leave the funnel off at this point. Okay. Seems all good. So now we're going to get our 3 cups of water, which I've got the measuring cup over here for that. Remember to read the meniscus. My high school science classes, particularly chemistry, have been surprisingly helpful, mostly in measurements. 2, and we want 1 more. Oop, I don't know what, well, it's probably fine either way, but. And we want 1 more cup. After the mishap I had with the last measuring cup, I'm not going to take any chances on this one. Okay. Now we'll mix that up as well. And if the flavor is too strong, we can add an additional cup of water. Okay. Flavor doesn't seem too strong. So I'm going to grab the lid for this. Then I'll put that in the fridge. They say to chill it overnight, but I imagine if I chill it for 8 to 10 hours, it'll probably simulate the effect. So I'll set a timer here for, we'll start it with 8 hours. So that should simulate the overnight effect just fine. Then when we come back, we'll be at my desk for the taste test. We're back here at my desk. As you can see, we have the lemonade here all ready to try. It's been chilling in the fridge for for a little more than the last 8 hours, actually. So let's give it a taste and see what I think. Between the half cup of honey and sugar that I put into this, I'm worried that it's going to be very sweet, but let's find out. There is a bit of sweetness in there, certainly enough to notice, but I'm not getting overpowered by it, which was my big concern with the ingredients here. I'm also not being overpowered by the lemony flavor. Actually, I kind of like this lemonade. Recipe. I'm not sure I'm going to make it again, but this one did definitely turn out to be pretty good. Like I said, this is probably my first time making lemonade from scratch. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. But that's another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Next month we'll be into a new cookbook, but I'll have more details on that during the end of a December recap. As for what else is coming up on the channel, tomorrow we're continuing our playthrough of Mag 23 Guadalcanal, and Sunday I'm expecting we're going to play The Hunters from Con Sim Press. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.